So the question says, Mr. Allah, question: are you of the opinion that people should get into marriage early, since you think 40 is a red flag? Um, that's a very good question. That's a very good question. All right. So the question is a statement, and the statement is not something I directly agree with. Okay, it's more so of the pushback against getting into marriage early that I disagree with. I don't necessarily agree that people should rush into marriage just because they're 24, 25. I don't think so. I don't necessarily think that. You know? So I just want to be careful with that. Hold on a second. Yeah. I just want to be careful with that, right? I don't necessarily think that people should rush into marriage just because it's time. I think when it's time, right? How do I say that in English? Everything in life is seasonal, seasons. Everything in life is in seasons. I think the Indomie generation are disrespectful to the fact that everything in life is in seasons, like deliberately, okay? And that's what I'm pushing against, right? I do think that based on what we know, biology, social construct, nature, right, and a few other factors, I think the ideal time to get married is somewhere between 23 and 30. Okay. And I also said social construct, right? That means society. That means, even not just the society, yourself. That's why these questions pop up, right? You expect certain things to happen in due season, right? The only one aspect of life that we're highly disrespectful to is romance and marriage. When I say disrespectful, we're literally trying to say there's no principles, just do you. And sadly, that is just a lie, right? It's just a lie, right? Now, from a circumstantial reasons, people might not get married for a little while. That still doesn't negate the fact that you become more of a coconut head as you go through life. You become, you're still in your ways, right? Your ways are your ways, right? And it's going to be like, change is a very difficult thing for all of us. So it's going to be hard for you to quote unquote change in the name of compromise, right? So if everything else were equal, everything else being equal, this is the right answer here. Everything else being equal, yes, I think it's better to do it early because you get to grow with that person. Okay, that means there's going to be crisis. That means that's just life. That means you're going to have growing pain, right? But there's other factors like biology, right? You get to, like, based off of science, the kids, everything else being equal, will be healthier, right? Again, everything else being equal, everything else is not equal. There are other circumstances, right? But if that was the one thing that brings you down to a decision, let's say God gave you that kind of grace, you can decide to pick any man you want. You're that pretty, right? You have everything, and you can decide now, or you can decide when you're 60, right? I would say do it now. If it comes down to that one choice, do it now, because you're going to grow, hold together. You're going to also leverage two heads is better than one, right? You're going to leverage the legal life hack, which marriage is, right? You're going to have companionship, which is part of our nature as human beings, right? And yes, that will come also with growing pain. There's going to be some situations that's not necessarily palatable, but that's also true if you were single. So two to get two, right? So everything else being equal, yes, my opinion is that people should get married. When I say early, I'm talking about 25 to 30. And you don't start looking for a wife at 25. You don't start looking for a husband at 25. But once you're like 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, naturally you're moving through life. People are going to approach you if you, again, everything else being equal. I'm not talking about, oh, I'm ugly, I'm challenged, looks, I'm not talking about any of that stuff, right? Those are exceptions, right? I'm talking about just a typical regular day. You're meeting people, and there are some of them that you want to entertain a conversation with. Potentially, you do life together. You should entertain getting to know people in that way. By the time you're 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, right? Again, I'm just putting a broad range here so that we're very clear that it's not about a particular time, right? Are you matured enough at that time? Yeah, typically most human beings are matured enough to do life with a person. Does that mean they won't end up in divorce? No. That's like asking me, does that mean people will not die at the age of 2 years old? No, that's not what we're talking about. I'm just saying, if everything else were equal, if you had to choose between now or later, and we're talking about you're at least 25 years of age, it's now, right? Oh, but I'm going to be a medical doctor, I'm going to school. All of that is nonsense, okay? These are the places where you meet people, you meet your husband and wife. All of that is nonsense at the end of the day. Okay, because we don't put anything else on hold except romance and marriage, and we're doing it particularly to solve the problem of so that we can avoid divorce. You know, that's not how to avoid divorce. How to avoid divorce is to remain a student of love and life for the rest of your life from an emotional intelligence standpoint. That's how you avoid divorce. You don't avoid divorce by putting it on hold. All right, so hopefully that answers your question, but that's a fantastic question. 40 years old, reason why I think they are red flags, if they've never been married, it's not because they are bad people. It's just all of us. If you've been collecting bodies, right? If it's not body, like sexually, you've been collecting breakfast. You've been collecting experiences over a period of 20 years, right? And you haven't been married. Red flag in terms of like, we should pay attention to that. Why not? We should have a conversation about that, right? Just a conversation, like a real conversation. Like, let's talk about your experiences, right? That's what we need to do, you know, and that's what we mean. And if you met somebody who is 40, never been married, you should be curious why. It's 20, it's like 2 decades, right? Floating through life, right? No, this has to be a reason. If the reason is not obvious enough, you need to find out. That's what I mean by red flag, all right? Hopefully that helps. All right. What's going on, Mo Fresh? Welcome. Hit that like button as you're coming in. Hit that like button. I appreciate you. With that being said, let's move on to this next topic. It's similar to the one we covered yesterday, but this time it's 2 ladies, and they are blowing up on social media everywhere, and they are yarning a lot of dust. It's not their fault. That's just social media these days. But I thought we should talk about it. Yeah. So I'll be right back. Let's cover that. Beautiful girl. Your love that I've been missing. I miss all your hugs, your touching and kissing. Make love on the floor, the couch in the kitchen. One love enough, we done enough.